Hey there, Mr. Sutton here, bringing you the IM362 Extra Practice Number 5 solutions on multiplying and dividing rational expressions. For this one, we have a puzzle to solve, so let's check that out. So here's the puzzle we're trying to solve for this extra practice. In this one, we try to solve the riddle of what happened to the peanut who went walking late at night. Seems kind of ominous. So we've got a whole bunch of expressions with division going on. It's all division. And we have to simplify these into one of the expressions on the right side in this column. Once we find the expression that goes with the number, whatever letter that is, we're going to put that under that number down below here. So let's give this a shot and see where it goes. So here we go with the first problem. Now with all these problems, since they're all division, our opening move on pretty much all of these is going to be to change the division into multiplication by multiplying by the reciprocal of the second fraction. So keep the first the same, change this to multiplication, and flip the second fraction. So for this one, we have the first fraction times this thing upside down, m squared minus 25 over 3m cubed n. And at this point, we're going to go ahead and factor this upper right expression so that I can split things up and cross some things off. So everything else can stay the same for a moment. But this upper right one, since we have the difference of two squares, I can square root these two terms and put them with a plus and a minus parentheses. Square root of m squared is m. Square root of 25 is 5, so plus 5. And m minus 5. Going back through and reducing and canceling everything we can, the 12 and the 3 can reduce. That gives me a 4 and a 1 instead. M squared and m cubed reduce, leaving me with an m to the first power in the denominator. N to the fifth and n to the first reduce. 5 minus 1 gives me an n to the fourth in the numerator. This m plus 5 down here can now cancel out this m plus 5, so that's nice. And I think that's about all I can cancel, so let me now go back and see what's left on each side. So in the numerator, we have a 4, we have an n to the fourth, and we have an m minus 5. Down below, we have a 1, which we don't have to write unless it's the only thing, and we have an m to the first, so just m. Nothing else is going to cancel, so let's find that in our answer choices. And I see all of that right here next to letter U. So let's put that under spot number 1 down here, and it looks like there's no other 1s. Most of these numbers appear only once, but there are a few like 9 and 7 I can see right away that are going to have multiple spots that the letter goes in. So just got to be aware of that. All right, here's number 2. Same as before, we're going to change, flip that second fraction. And now let's factor what we can. In the upper left, I need factors of 20 that multiply to negative 9. 1 and 20 doesn't do it, neither does 2 and 10. 4 and 5 works if you have negative 4 and negative 5. So n minus 4 and n minus 5. And down here in the lower right, I can take out a common factor of 5, leaving me with an n minus 4. All right, what cancels here? The n minus 4s definitely can go away. Can't do anything with this n minus 5. Let's look down in the lower left now. The 6 and the 10, those can reduce to give me a 5 up here and a 3 down here. And then the m to the 7th and the m, that reduces. Oh, these 5s actually, before I do that, these 5s can cancel out. We have a 5 and a 5, get rid of those. And now let's look at the m's. So that's going to be an m to the 6 downstairs. The n squareds are going to cancel out completely, so that's good. So what do we have left? We have an n minus 5 in the numerator. And in the denominator, we still have a 3 and an m to the 6th, and it looks like that's it. So n minus 5 over 3m to the 6th, that's all the way down here. That's e, and that goes in box number 2. On to the next. Just like before, same, change, flip that second fraction. Don't really need to write the 1 down there, but I will anyway, just to keep the formatting obvious as to where things are. So now let's do a little factoring. In the lower left, I can take out an m, leaving me with an m and a minus 7. In the upper right, factors of negative 21 that add up to negative 4. 1 and 21 doesn't work, but 3 and 7 does. Positive 3 and negative 7. So m plus 3, m minus 7. Looking for some canceling. The m squared and the m can cancel, or reduce at least. That leaves me with just m to the first in the numerator. And then the m minus 7 and this one here as well can go away. So what do we have left? We have an m and an m plus 3, and the only things downstairs are all 1s, so that's it, m parentheses m plus 3. That's right here, choice T, so that's going to go with 3. And there's actually another 3 all the way over here that I need to put a T in there as well. Here's number 4. Just like before, same change, flip that second fraction. We do this the whole puzzle. Factoring time now. For the upper left, I'm going to take out a negative 2. I could just take out a 2. I like taking out negatives in this situation though, because if I take out this negative, that allows me to reverse the direction that these things are going in. So this now becomes a positive m and a minus 8, which I think I'm going to be able to find that and factor things that look like that a lot more easily. All right, moving downstairs, factors of negative 24 that add up to 2. 1 and 24 doesn't work, 2 and 12 doesn't work, 3 and 8, no dice, but 4 and 6 works, negative 4, positive 6. So we have m minus 4, m plus 6. And then in the upper right here, this 3m plus 18, definitely I can take out a 3 from that. So that leaves me with an m plus 6. And I can't really reduce anything with the coefficients, but these m minus 8s can go away. And also the m plus 6s are gone. So collecting the leftovers, we have a negative, well, this negative here is going to perpetrate, or it's going to go through the whole fraction. So we end up with a negative overall fraction. 2 times 3 in the numerator is giving us a 6 here. Propagate was the word I was looking for. It's going to propagate through the whole fraction. And then we have an m minus 4 downstairs. So negative 6 over m minus 4. I see that after a quick scan right here, that's I. So that's going to be 4 right there. And I don't see any others 4s, so on to the next. To start this one off, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal of that second fraction. So we'll do all this stuff in the first fraction times n squared plus 3n over 8n to the 5th. And now let's do some factoring. For the upper left, I can take out a common factor of 12. That leaves me with n minus 3. Down below here, I can take out a negative 1 so that I can write positive n squared minus 9. That's just going to be a little bit easier to factor. And then over here, I can take an n out of that upper right. So that leaves me with an n plus 3. I'm going to factor this lower left a little bit more. I have the negative 1 that I already took out. And now I can square root these and do a plus minus parentheses. So we'll have n plus the square root of 9, n plus 3, and then n minus 3. So for canceling and reducing, the 12 and the 8 reduce. That gives me a 3 over 2. The n minus 3s here can cross off, along with the n plus 3s over there. And then one last thing, this n and this n to the 5th also reduce. That leaves me with a n to the 4th power in the denominator. Putting it all together now, the negative 1 down here is giving me a negative overall fraction. For the numerator, I have a 3, and that's about it. In the denominator, I have this 2 and this n to the 4th, and that's all that's down there. So negative 3 over 2n to the 4th, which is right here, that's D, and that's going in slot number 5 down here. For number 6, we're going to do a little same change flip for that second fraction. And then let's do some factoring. For the upper left, that one is a difference of 2 squares, so I can use my plus minus parentheses shortcut on that one. Square root of m squared is m, square root of n squared is n, so we have m plus n and m minus n. Down in the lower left, I have a perfect square sandwich. Square rooting those and putting the sign of the middle term in there, I have m plus n quantities squared. And if I multiply these together and double it, I do have 2mn, so that's nice. The 7m squared is fine the way it is. In the lower right, I can take out some common factors. I can take out an m and an n. Taking that out of the first term gives me an m Taking it out of the second term is an n. All right, anything else we can do? I think we factored as much as we can. Time to start canceling things out. So we have the m plus n here, and one of these m plus n's down here. That cancels out. And then the m, so that's a 1 down there, and then the m minus n here and over here, those cancel out completely. And then the m squared and the m also reduce to give me an m to the first power in the numerator. So I have a 7m left over upstairs, and downstairs I have an n and also this m plus n. So 7m over all that stuff is going to be w right there. That goes in box number 6, and that's the only 6 there. All right, here we go with lucky number 7, or maybe not so lucky. This one's kind of a mess from start to finish. But let's start by flipping that second fraction and using multiplication instead of division. And now for some factoring. In the upper left, I need factors of negative 12 that add up to negative 1. 1 and 12 doesn't work. 2 and 6 doesn't work. 3 and 4 works if I have positive 3 and negative 4. So n plus 3, n minus 4. The lower left is going to be a bit of a pain. I'm going to have to use AC method there. Common factors don't exist for this one. So my AC value, I've got 2 times 18, and I'll just do that off on the side here. So that's 36. So I need factors of 36 that add up to negative 15. 1 and 36, nope. 2 and 18 doesn't work. How about 3 and 12? Yeah, that works if they're both negative. So let me split this negative 15n up into a negative 3n minus 12n. Now that I've got 4 terms, I can go to grouping. First 2 terms, I can take out an n. Leaves me with 2n minus 3. For the next 2, I can take out a negative 6, leaving me with 2n minus 3. So 2n minus 3 comes out, n minus 6 goes in, and there's my factorized version of that lower left there that I'm just going to insert over here. There we go. Let's keep factoring now. In the upper right, I can take out an n squared. That leaves me with a 2n minus 9. And I'm not going to be able to do anything more on that one. Down here in the lower right, I can take out a 3 and an n, leaving me with n minus 4. And let's see what I can cancel out. I'm really excited here. We've done a lot of factoring. So let me think. N plus 3, nope, that doesn't match anything. N minus 4 is a match, so let's cross those off. Nice. 2n minus 3, not so much. This 2n minus 9 seems like it ought to work, but the 9 and the 3, that's just a mismatch. How about n minus 6? Also a dud. Nothing over there that matches that. Now we have an n squared here. That can reduce with the n down here. That's at least something. So now I have an n to the first in the numerator. And this 3, there's nothing I can do with this or the 2n minus 9. So I didn't really cross off a whole lot of stuff. But let's see what we do have. So in the numerator, we have an n plus 3, and a 2n minus 9. I'll just write all of that up there. Down below, we have a 3. And this whole bottom left denominator, just going to rewrite all of that down there. And that's as good as it gets. Let's see, for answer choices, I see something close enough right here with S. The factors are in a slightly different order, but it's the same thing. So we put an S in spot number 7. So there's going right there. There's another one over here, and a third 7 over here. So triple duty on that one. All right, here we go with number 8. We'll start this one by same change flipping to turn division into multiplication. Next up, let's do some factoring. In the lower left, factors of negative 35 that add up to 2. That would be negative 5 and positive 7. So m minus 5, m plus 7. And for the upper right, I can factor an m out of that, leaving me with m plus 7. Let's reduce what we can. 17 over 34, that gives me 1 over 2. And this is kind of interesting. We have an m that I'm going to reduce with the m to the 8th, but I have another m up here. So I could take the time to multiply this all out and get an m squared, but I'm just going to cross off both of these m's with this m, and that leaves me with an m to the 6th down here. We crossed off 2 m's up there. Next up, the n to the third and the n to the fourth reduce, giving me an n to the first down there. So what do we have? In the numerator, we still have an m plus 7. Well, actually, we don't, because that cancels out with this m plus 7 here. So now, what do we have? We have nothing up there. We've got a 1. That's it. Downstairs, though, we still have this 2. We have an m to the sixth and an n, and an m minus 5. So all that stuff down there. And that's going to match this answer choice here, L. So that's what's going in spot 8. And at last we arrive at the final boss battle, number 9. So let's start this one off. As with before, we're going to same change flip so that we're going to multiply by 1 over 10n plus 25. And now let's see what kind of factoring we can do. In the upper left, we can take out a common factor of n. So that leaves me with 4n squared minus 25, which I'm pretty sure I can factor that a little bit more. And while I'm taking out common factors, let me do this lower right here. I'll take a 5 out of there. That leaves me with a 2n plus 5. All right, so this n, I'm going to bring this down here and keep it there. The stuff over on the right, I don't need to change it all just yet. But now this 4n squared minus 25, that's two perfect squares with a minus between them. I can square root those and use a plus minus parentheses. Square root of 4n squared is 2n. Square root of 25 is 5, so plus 5 and 2n minus 5. Now for the stuff in the lower left, I can't take out any common factors or use other shortcuts. So let me use AC method on that. 3 times 5, that gives me an AC value of 15. So I need factors of 15 that add up to negative 16. Well, 1 and 15 works if they're both negative. So let me split this negative 16n up into a negative n minus 15n. Now that I have 4 terms, let me use some grouping. Take an n out of those first two, leaves me with 3n minus 1. And then I'll take a negative 5 out of the next two, leaving me with a positive 3n minus 1. So 3n minus 1 is coming out as a common factor. N minus 5 is going in as my leftover parentheses factor. And I'm putting all of that down here in the lower left so that I can hopefully cancel some things out with it. Going through and canceling now, can't do anything with the n here, but my 2n plus 5 cancels with this one down here. 2n minus 5 doesn't match anything, so let me keep looking here. There really isn't anything else, is there? These things down here don't have any matches above anywhere. This 5 is just going to have to stay where it is. Yeah, this was kind of a bust. But let me collect what I've got. In my numerator, that's an n and a 2n minus 5. In the denominator, that's a 5, and everything from this first denominator as well. It's getting carried over. And I'll find all of that stuff right here. That's an A, so that's going in spot 9. So you get an A, you get an A, and you get an A. And now we can go ahead and solve the puzzle. All right, it's riddle time. We want to know what happened to the peanut who went walking late at night. It was, oh, this is a long word, assaulted. Oh, it was assaulted because peanuts get salted. Yeah, okay, I got it. All right, that joke is kind of nuts. Until next time, Mr. Sutton signing off.